Hello everybody, Savat the Mighty here, and I'm back with another Eve Echoes video. In today's video, we're going to be taking more ship requests, and we're on the Fulmination Test server. Alright, with that being said, if you do like my content, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do release new content. Let's go ahead and get started. So today, we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 10 Amarr ship, the Abaddon. This ship is a beast. It is just insane. So, as we said, it is a Tier 10 ship, so we don't expect to see this ship for quite some time. It's going to be a very, very long time before this one's released. And let's go over the details on this ship. So, it does get large laser operation bonus per level, 7.5% large laser damage, and 5% large laser optimal range. Battleship command bonus per level. It's going to get 4% armor resistances per level, making this a very, very, very tanky battleship. Overall defense, it's at 93,665 with a flight velocity of 134, warp speed of 2, power grid output of 13,972 megawatts, capacitor of 16,684 gigajoules, and a cargo hold capacity of 1,050. Its armor resistances are 50 EM, 35 thermal, 25 kinetic, and 20 explosive. So this ship has an amazing amount of high slots, 8 I believe. Yes, definitely 8. And in those 8 high slots in this fit, I went ahead and put in Corpus C-type large pulse lasers. Now, that being said as well, we do have all max skills on this, so this would be what it looks like with max skills. In the mid slots here, I do have one Vicarlacus large energy Nosferatu. We have a Predator Stasis Webifier, and a Haley Target Painter. In our last mid slot, we have a Predator Warp Scram, and for our drones, we're using the Mark 9 Ogres. There's 2 of those. In the low slots, I have 2 Corpus C-type large armor repairers. I have a Core C-type large afterburner. I have 2 C-type adaptive armor hardeners. And lastly, over here, I'm using 1 Centum C-type heatsink. For the rigs, I have 3 semiconductor memory cell 4s, because with this ship going to be taking so long to come out, I figured might as well put the 4s on there. Hopefully when this ship is out, we'll have those available to us. I'm actually using an anti-explosive pump 4 and an anti-kinetic pump 4. I have those in there because normally I like to tailor my tank to what I'm fighting. For this ship, you would probably want to stay fighting, if you're going to be tailored like that, the 2 factions that are going to be using shield tanks more, since this is a laser boat, so probably going against Caldari and also the Mimitar ships. And both of those are going to be using a lot of explosive and kinetic, so you're probably going to want to have those there if you want to do the most optimal ways of fighting. However, based off of what you fight, you can change those up to whatever you want. And I also have 1 Laser Burst Aerator 4 in there. Okay, so let's take a look and see what that means. So if we look at our offense, our turrets are doing 1,463.74 DPS, and our drones are doing 96.10, for a total DPS of 1,559.84. Defense, we have a total of 165,119 effective hit points, and on shields, 29,719 are coming from shields. With armor, it's 42,831, and with hull or structure, it's 35,358. The capacitor on this ship does last for about 18 minutes and 42 seconds if you have everything running. Capacitor capacity is 37,539 gigajoules with a recharge time of 931 seconds. One thing to notice with this ship as well, under the bonuses that it gets, it does not get the normal Amarr bonus to the energy draw rates for the large weaponry. So these things are using their full energy draw. Okay, so we looked at the defense, we looked at the capacitor. For targeting, it has a radar sensor strength 20 points, scan resolution of 156, signature radius of 302. It can lock a maximum of 7 units. Navigation, it takes 14.13 seconds for this to warp. Warp speed is 2. On this fit, there is no warp stability. Maximum speed is 194.3. Maximum power grid with all the skills is 20,958. Making this ship all around a beast. Oh yeah, let's actually go over the armor resistances. I don't know if I actually did that already. So for shields, it has EM resistance of 0, thermal resistance of 20, kinetic is 40%, explosive is 55. On the armor with this fit, its EM resistance is 60, thermal 48, kinetic 67, explosive 65 out of the box before any hardeners are activated. And the hull, it has its 33% resistance to everything. So let's go ahead and pick up a mission here real quick. What do we got? What do we got? See if you can get one that's closer. Here we go. And let's get out there and warp to it. So yeah, this ship is just a beast of a tank, and it can get a lot more tankier. You can actually take off the damage bonus on here and put on a thicker tank by using the other armor, the reactive armor. So if you want this thing to tank like nothing's ever tanked before, it can do that. Another thing that you can do to actually make this ship a lot more stable is we can see here that my capacitor is lasting 18 minutes and 42 seconds with that 1463 DPS.
Warp drive active.
I have an activation time in here. That activation time actually dropped this down from 47 minutes to 18 minutes by putting it on there because the lasers are going to be firing more often. So if you want to make this thing more cap stable, instead of using the activation time, I would recommend using the damage bonus. You're not going to fire as frequently, it's going to do less damage overall, but your hits will actually be harder because you're going to be applying more damage per hit, just slower firing. And so that is also something to think about. Okay. So we're going to come into this cosmic anomaly here, and we are going to activate both of our hardeners that we have on and take a look at our defense. Our defense is sitting at a 75% EM resistance, a 67 thermal resistance, 79 kinetic, and 78 explosive. All around pretty amazing resistances. I do have the afterburner on this ship, and one of the reasons why I just chose to go with the afterburner again is whenever you're making these tanky ships, having the micro warp drive on there is going to reduce your cap by 25%. Since this ship is using lasers as well and that already does have cap issues, I didn't really want to do that. So we do have the afterburner on here for the purposes of moving around, but we're not really going to be doing a lot of moving around. So if we lock up everything here, okay. I want to get these the frigates popped first if I can. So this guy here, we're going to hit him with the target painter and 2 of those. And this guy here, we're going to try to, well, I didn't want to focus fire. That's force of habit for me to do. We're going to try to get the drones on him. And we'll stop these 2. And we'll place those on. Okay. So this guy is mighty close to us. We can go ahead and hit him with the scram and the web. And we're going to see if that helps out with the drones at all. Alright, so we're applying a light damage to the frigates. Nothing to cry home about. So let's go ahead and stop that and stop those as well. And it's probably better if we're going to be sitting close range here to go after some of the bigger ships and just let those frigates do whatever they want to do. But we're going to apply everything to this one. Yeah. Nothing good is coming of that. Okay. So a couple things that we do want to look at why we're actually doing this as well is we want to look at the ranges that we have, what we're kind of working with, and take a look at all the little details. So we can do that while we're waiting for that. So our large energy Nosferatu has an optimal range of 24. That's pretty much where we're going to want to stay in. And our lasers themselves have an optimal range of 39. So we can pretty much sit right here. And where are my drones? Let's get the drones on this guy. They could be doing some work over there. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna get him blown up. And actually, I want to put all the lasers on that ship. I didn't want that to auto-fire. And we're just gonna chill. Oh, I guess we can use this now. Alright, so now we're going to lean into this Megathron, and we're going to activate our damage, and we can see here this is going to go up to 1893.89. We'll activate one of the armor reppers since we are now into armor. And we're just going to float here like a fortress and deliver fiery death with the lasers. So the drones do apply quite a bit of damage in this build. They do help out. One of the things you could do as well is put in a couple of medium drones to help out with the smaller ships. Switch those back and forth as you see fit. And the ship doesn't really get any type of drone damage. But I've really found that the smaller ships aren't really that big of a problem. They're kind of hard to hit, but when you're in a huge tanky ship, it doesn't really matter at all. You can take them out at your leisure. Ah, we're just floating in this weed. Space weed. Okay. So our next target's here. We do have a bunch of smaller ships again, which is always super fun. We're gonna go for this guy. And we want to make sure that that's active as well. Try to see if we can't bring him down to a grinding halt. Yeah, he's not really moving down there. Okay. We're going to do the same thing with this guy. Make sure that our scram is on there so he can't be hit by the micro warp drive if he's using that. Yeah, I don't really think our lasers are doing too much to him. So, we're going to put the lasers on the other small ship and see if it does anything. And I know normally what I would be doing is, well, yeah, it's gone already. Normally what I would be doing is actually focusing the lasers on the bigger ships, but I'm just kind of playing around with these small ships and seeing. I mean, they're definitely not going to be a threat. I'm just seeing how well it's going to be able to target and take care of those. We are sitting still. The ship really doesn't move that fast. We could turn to approach the frigates, and that might help out a little bit if we were that concerned. That is a tactic that we might want to take into consideration whenever you're doing the higher tier missions. Let's get him back on there. And yeah, that's fine. Web him down, let our drones do that, and we'll let our lasers tackle this bigger ship here. Now we're just running one of the armor repairers right now. Okay. So we've got a mixed bag of lasers firing on different stuff now. I guess we could stop all of these. And then start them again on the bigger ship. Activate our damage module. And let's see what the drones decide to do. Let's put the drones on this guy. Yeah, I'm taking things real slow, just kind of sitting here. We can web him up. Now that 30 km, it's a bit far, like we're not going to get our neutralizer energy as well there. But I believe we're still well within the range, because these go up to basically 40, yeah. So our lasers are going to do just fine. But this thing can literally just sit here, kind of like a lot of the other tanky ships that we show. One of the things that I really enjoy doing with these tankier ships is running the 2 reppers. As you can see, for doing the news missions here, the 2 reppers aren't needed, really. But whenever you're doing some of the harder content in the game, having those 2 reppers is really going to make a huge difference when you have a lot of ships around you. And again, like I said, you can take out this, and we'll kind of showcase that too. I'm gonna remove the damage mod on here, the fire rate one, and show you where the capacitor actually gets. So we'll take this off, and we'll put the other thing on to show basically that the ship can become way more stable. It pretty much is stable right now, as long as you're not running everything. The afterburner is there so it can move if it needs to, but it normally doesn't really need to move. I accidentally hit approach there. Let's lock up a few ships. Okay, so we're going to hit this guy with all of the fun stuff, and then just focus fire him. So Catalyst will be down here in a second. Move over to the next ship. He had a very bad day, lost most of his hit points, and now he's dead. We're going to go over to the last small ship. Yeah, huge difference when you actually have the scram on. Thorax, goodbye. Now we're going to get this catalyst. It's just so much cleaner whenever they're close up and you hit them with the scram than not. Let's activate our damage again. Much quicker too. This ship just does a crazy amount of damage with a pretty thick boy tank. If you do like lasers and you like tanking, this thing is kind of like the Mauler, but the Mauler's bigger, nastier brother. So if you like the Mauler and liked what it does, this ship is going to do everything that Mauler did, but better. It's just a big, thick boy who is able to deal all sorts of crazy damage with lasers. Now, one thing that we do want to see here, let's go to our navigation. Its maximum speed is 541.87 milliseconds. If we do, let's go ahead and just place an orbit on him. If we do start orbiting, let's just take a look and see how fast it takes this ship to get up to that speed. Quite some time. So it's not going to hit that speed very quickly. And I do believe once it turns, it's going to drop a lot of that speed again. So once it does get into orbit, should be okay. Another thing too, we were actually letting those frigates get very close to us. If you tried to keep your distance from them and, you know, actually did some piloting instead of sitting there like a stone in space, you could probably kill them a lot quicker. But I kind of just wanted to sit there because that's one of my favorite things to do, is sit there and tank stuff. And again, for the purpose of doing news missions, you can probably replace the second armor wrapper with another damage mod or something of that sort. Anything that you would like to help speed up the actual missions for the news encounters. The second wrapper is there mainly for the purposes of doing the tougher content in the game, when you're actually going to need it. Let's go ahead and jump back to base. So yeah, I love this ship. It has an array of mid slots that are going to let you have a lot of fun doing different stuff with that. It's going to have a ton of firepower with the high slots. It's just overall a beautiful ship. If you like your big, slow, tanky ships, then this is probably going to be the ship for you if you're a laser pilot. So again, I was talking about the capacitor. It's sitting here at 18 minutes, 42 seconds. And that is if everything is running on there. One of the things I actually want to see is, I don't think I have one available. So I won't be able to showcase what it's going to look like in there with the damage. Well, maybe I can. We'll have to see. I don't know what I actually have available back at the base. But I want to take that out to show off that if you did want to go the other route and put the damage in there. You don't actually lose too terribly much damage for doing it, and you gain a lot of capacitor time. And capacitor time can be very important depending on who you're actually fighting. If you're sitting there in the middle of ships and they all got you neuted and everything like that, neuted and they're draining from you, so they're using NOSes and newts, then having more capacitor is always going to be better for you. So especially if you're tackling the MR missions and whatnot, that's something that you might want to consider, putting in some of the actual damage mod over having the attack speed mod. Okay. So looks like I just have a laser collision accelerator 3 on here. But for the purposes of this, that should still showcase pretty much what it's like. Alright, so our capacitor is sitting at 18 minutes and 42 seconds, and we're at 1,463. If we put in one of these, which is just the damage bonus and not the activation time, we're at 1,360. And with a 4, that would be a little higher than that. And, oh, not quite. Our capacitor's at 29 minutes and 4 seconds. So another thing to consider here, if you're not using the afterburner, this is stable. So I just kind of wanted to show that off too. If you did go the route without that, you can get it stable. Now, if you do go with the laser burst aerator, and again, this is kind of just for science for you guys who like that, Again, we're back down to the 18 minutes, but just to be fair, we're going to go ahead and unfit that as well. And we're actually still stable, so I don't see why there would be any reason not to use that. You probably have a higher capacitor. Yeah, this one's stable at 2.4%. That's not a very good stability rate. Those large pulse lasers, the amount of energy they take to fire that. Now, if you put in a micro warp drive, nowhere near stable. Nowhere near stable at all. We change that out for a fire rate. Capacitor goes to 10 minutes. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do with that capacitor thing there. I just kind of wanted to show you. I was a little bit wrong there. So yeah, it does look like as long as you're not running your afterburner, if that's what you chose to use, you're fine. If you have the micro warp drive, you'll probably still be okay for the purposes of moving around, but it's really up to you. Really up to you. So that was kind of the last thing I wanted to show off, a little bit of a bonus there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the ship, and I will be back next time. If you do like us and you want to join us on the Discord, the link will be in the description below, and you can follow me on Twitter at Savat the Mighty. Alright, I'll see you then.